to your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just some high-flying, ran fast vertical stems of professors from Penn watching eagles eating prey like Pazookies on birthdays. It's Philadelphia. Marissa, Bo, and Zach kicking it. Cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Marissa, Bo, and Zach are here to squawk. Don't miss the mistress talk on some.
This is what it's all about. We do daily podcasts for like 2.5 weeks during training camp. We got all kinds of time for guests and nonsense.
I will open up a 2-hour block.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends on a Monday night, 10 p.m. on the dot. We're starting on time. Bo Wolf, Zach Berman here to talk about the joint practices, or I guess the first of 2 joint practices between the Eagles and the Cleveland Browns. And you know, Zach, the whole city is talking about Lionel Messi is coming to Philadelphia. What a treat that's going to be. It's like Michael Jordan coming to town. I think it's going to be overshadowed. It's a bigger deal. Today, at the NovaCare complex, Michael Dunn came to town. Sit down, Messi. You know what I mean? You with me?
It was great to see Michael. Played well out there, looked good out there. I hear he's having a really good summer for the Browns, but I'm not quite sure Michael Dunn and Messi are on the same level here.
Wow.
That's no disrespect to Michael. I
Sounds like
think
disrespect
Michael,
to me.
I think Michael would actually appreciate me keeping it real here. I mean,
Listen, I'm here to gas the guy up.
as am I. There's a scale between Michael Dunn and Leo Messi.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Messi's here. Dunn is a
Oh,
little bit higher.
It's now a height joke, huh? Okay. You're muted. The Eagles, you're still muted. The Eagles and the Browns practice today. As we wait for Bo, you got just me. I'm going to tell you that these 2 days, these 2 evenings, I should say, the most important of the summer for the Eagles. And I say that because this is where the bulk of the substantial work is going to come this summer against a different team in competitive situations. As we welcome our host Bo Wolf back to the pod.
You know, the audio people don't necessarily know that I've left. You could just continue talking, and then I'll just sort of seamlessly slide back in.
Seamlessly. What I was saying,
the situation with this mic is a real disaster. You know, be nice to get some new equipment.
So what I was saying was these 2 days are the most important days of the summer, or the 2 days
two most important days of the summer
for the Eagles. Yes. Do you disagree?
Well, my motto is always the 2 most important days are the next 2 most important, or the next 2 days.
Yeah, well, if that's your motto, I think over the scope of the summer, this is where we learn the most about the team.
Well, it's interesting you say that because let's get into it. If that is true, if we are going to learn more about the Eagles over these next 2 days than we have all summer, today was much different than we have seen the rest of the summer. And that would be a bit of a red flag because I cannot remember ever seeing the Eagles offensive line, the starting offensive line, dominated to the degree that they were dominated today by the Browns defensive line. It was like practice period drive ruining stuff. It was like, you know, they every little period with the ones, they'd have 5 plays and Jalen Hurts would get sacked on 2 of them and like be flushed from the pocket on another. It was really bad. And so I'm very curious to see how they come out tomorrow. But Myles Garrett was giving Jordan Mailata the business, and then Garrett only played like the first half of practice. The interior was not doing a great job. In one-on-ones, they got dusted. I think my understanding is this Browns defense is on the come, as they say, should be pretty good. But I was not expecting to see this. And I think, we've said this before, we do the thing where we try to take a step back and recalibrate what we've seen. I'm starting to wonder, is it possible that maybe not only is the offense, I'm not worried about the Eagles' offensive line. I think they have enough, earned will there. This is, Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson, they're going to be fine. But what I am thinking is the degree to which the Eagles' offensive line has been really good against the Eagles' starting defensive line. Maybe this Eagles' defensive line and the Eagles' defense as a whole is just not going to be very good.
Do you think the Eagles' offensive line has been really good against the defensive line this summer?
I think the starters have mostly been good. I would say more often than not, the Eagles' starting offensive line has won those matchups. Do you disagree?
It depends on the specific matchup, but I would.
I think the starters.
Agree. Yeah.
I think it's been 70-30 because first of all, Hassan Reddick has not been in team drills a ton. Josh Sweat has done a good job, has had a very good summer. I don't think that, against the ones, Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis are getting a lot of wins against the Eagles interior.
So was it the interior tonight too? Because as I was remarking, like we know how Jim Schwartz likes to play defense, and these guys get uphill. They're going to penetrate. And you have Myles Garrett on one side, you have Zadarius Smith on the other side, but they don't have that dominant 3 technique that Schwartz has had in the past, where they're getting interior pressure as well. And for the audience, I'm asking Bo this because I was mostly watching the Eagles defense on a different field, and Bo was mostly watching the Eagles offense on the other field. We lost you again. Okay. As we wait for Bo,
I'll stick around with you.
There's Kent. Kent, good to see you.
What's up, everyone?
So I'm just going to give a.
Oh no, Bo's having some mic issues here tonight, folks.
Okay. So while we wait for Bo to come back, I'm just going to lay out what I saw when the Eagles defense was on the field. And I didn't think it was as pronounced as it sounds like the offensive struggles were. I actually thought the Eagles pass rush was able to get home a bit. Bo, are you back with us?
For now.
Okay. So I'll hold that thought. Bo, pick up. Were they getting interior pressure as well, the Cleveland Browns?
They were. Dalvin Tomlinson had a good day. Cam Jurgens has been really good in one-on-ones this year, I've thought, and they only took one matchup, but Dalvin Tomlinson dusted him. And then there was a lot of interior pressure. I mean, I can go through my notes. There were like 5 periods with the first, the ones against the ones, and there were probably something like 12 sacks or something nuts like that. Like it was crazy. And they were coming from everywhere except against Lane Johnson. I don't know if like all of a sudden I'm like very high on the Browns defense or what's going on here, but I also did think, and you can tell me how you saw things on the other side of the ball. I thought the Browns were sort of bringing a little more energy to this practice. I thought Elliot Shore-Parks made that point, and I think he was right about that.
So this is an interesting point. And again, this is not something that one can measure, but certainly it's something that one can perceive. And I don't want to put words in ESP's mouth, but when he was bringing it up to me, he said how last year it seemed the Eagles just had more juice when they were there than Cleveland did. And I would agree with that, right? This is the thing that Nick Sirianni's trying to guard against. This is why he started his meeting this year the way he did. This is why he's continued to try to reiterate these points. And it's a big one. There's a thought sometimes when you get to the Super Bowl and you come back, it's like, oh, all right, we'll go through the motions and we'll wake up in February or in January and then we'll play meaningful games then, right? It's like nothing we do now really matters. And then Sirianni's point, or at least what he said to us, is he needs to reinforce that every day matters, every snap matters. But this is, there are teams that start slow after making it for that exact reason. It's the flip a switch thing you hear in the NBA, and you can't necessarily be a flip a switch team in the NFL.
And I was not worried about that until today. And I don't want to make too much of one practice.
No,
it's
absolutely not.
It's no big deal. But we're doing this podcast on the day of. This is a time capsule. I was talking about this on, I'm going to be on the Robert Mays podcast, right? The Athletic Football Show. We talked about
Flex. That is a flex right there.
It's not a flex. But
That's big
I
time.
just want to contextualize
that's the
this.
football show.
All right, calm down. I'm gonna unplug my mic if you keep doing this game. And he was asking about, like, the reasons that they might not be good, and I said that the way that I feel about them coming off a Super Bowl and not having that want to, like, the disease of more and all this, is that I sort of trust that they follow Jalen Hurts' lead where this goes, right? And I think that the team follows him more than it necessarily follows Sirianni. And I think that, like, I believe in his power of will a little bit and his cult of personality, but, like, they were definitely outjuiced today. Now, they played a game 2 nights ago, and I don't think the Browns did. Did they play on Saturday also, or did they play on Friday?
I would need to
think they
look
played
that
on
up.
Friday. So again, we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's one practice. But if we're going to treat this like one of the 2 most important days of the summer, then yeah, I mean, they got like humbled today. It was not good.
And again, I didn't think it was as pronounced on the defensive side, so I'm taking your word for it there. But that's the general sentiment. And my follow-up question to you is how you kind of started this, which is, are you sure the offensive line is as good as we give it credit for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still pretty bullish on the offensive line. I'm not really worried about the offensive line. Jordan Mailata is not going to see Myles Garrett every week, right? I mean, he's unbelievable. And it's funny, you see him, like, walking around after practice. He's always got his shirt off, and you're just thinking, like, man, now I know what it looks like to look in the mirror. That's exactly what I look like.
Boom. There you go. Good job.
What an Adonis. I mean, he's awesome. And I mean, their defensive line is much better. Dalvin Tomlinson was really good in this practice, I thought. But I'm not really worried about the offensive line. They've been good all summer. I don't really see reasons why they would be worse. I think Cam Jurgens has had a very good summer. But today,
and this is why you hire Jim Schwartz, by the way, too, right? To play that style of defense.
But what style of defense is that?
Areas. Just attack.
Yeah, but I mean, Jim Schwartz has traditionally spends a lot of time on trying to stop the run. It's not the full Jim Washburn,
That's fair.
Right. I mean, Eagles had more. Eagles had more sacks last year than they did ever under Jim Schwartz.
Well, and a lot of that too had to do with game situation, right? I mean, they were just playing with huge leads in every game.
Sure.
So that kind of inflates it. And they got to play against Carson Wentz. They had 12 sacks against Carson Wentz.
That's true.
I think it was. So no, that's
I'm interested and curious to see how they respond tomorrow. I would imagine that Sirianni and Stoutland are sort of reading them the riot act tonight.
How did A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith look? I peered over a few times and seen Devontae was making a catch every time I looked over.
Well, those catches were mostly after sacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which can't happen in a game, of course. So.
Right. Yeah. Most of those were after sacks. There was one where it was like sort of borderline, and Jalen Hurts was running left and hoisted one to an open Devontae Smith. I would probably say that was not a sack, but it was close to a sack. It was good work. Even in one-on-ones, Devontae Smith against Denzel Ward was really, really good. Denzel Ward won the first matchup. Devontae Smith won the second one. A.J. Brown and Martin Emerson had a good little battle. It was the same thing. They split their 2 reps.
Ole Miss versus Mississippi State right there.
There you go. I thought those guys were okay. It seemed like, I don't know if this was a response to the Browns defensive line dominating, or if it was what was just in the script. This is what they were going to call on their plays today. But they, after the first sort of 2 periods, they started throwing to the running backs a lot more and sort of throwing quick passes to Dallas Goedert. Maybe this is what we can expect from this offense is trying to push that button if things are not going well. To your boy DeAndre Swift and also to Kenny Gainwell. But there was not. I thought Hurts was mostly fine. There was one deep pass to Devontae Smith that was a little bit underthrown. There were a couple of really nice throws on those pseudo sacks. It wasn't his fault necessarily what was going on today, but it was the story of the day to me was just how much the offensive line was getting crushed.
And
I should also say Landon Dickerson got dinged up about halfway through practice, and he was replaced by Sua Opeta at left guard, and then later Josh Sills got some reps there, but that did not look like the reason for what was going on.
And
Kelsey also got banged up, and he both of these guys seemed to be okay.
Sure.
Okay.
That's interesting to me.
I'll close out on that side of the ball with the twos. Tyree Cleveland continues to show up. He made a couple really nice catches. I don't really think that he has a chance to make the team, but he's been productive over the past week. He's been their best. He's been better than Joseph Ngata. He's been their best. He's been their
down
fifth
the
best
roster.
receiver.
Yeah,
over the past week.
And as you say that, we should just add in Quez Watkins and Britton Covey were both sidelined with hamstring injuries, so there's more opportunities higher on the depth chart today.
Do you think Covey is a lock?
No, but they don't really have a great punt return situation.
No,
I don't think Covey's a lock. I didn't think Covey was a lock last year, and I certainly don't think he returned
didn't make the team
enough.
last year. Initially,
Yeah,
remember he was a practice squad call-up for the first couple weeks.
So yeah, no, I do think though that's a spot where they can potentially upgrade, and they don't have a dynamic returner there. Otherwise, something to watch.
So I mean, we should also just say like the structure of practice. There really was no work for the threes on this day because those guys are going to play in the game presumably. These 2 practices, it's basically just ones and twos.
Stefanski already said their starters aren't playing, and I imagine Sirianni's going to say, well, he probably wouldn't say it, but we can read between the lines.
He's got to say it at this point, right?
No,
it's not even worth asking. Like,
sure,
because it doesn't. They're not going to play.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think that's about it from my side of the ball. Should we turn the page?
Yeah, let's turn the page.
All right, tell me. I like this format because I didn't get to watch what you got to watch. You didn't get to watch what I got to watch. So tell me what happened on the other side of the ball.
So first off, a few depth chart things. I think the most notable depth chart to note is Sidney Brown getting work with the ones. This was the first time this summer that I've seen Sidney Brown get work that high up on the depth chart.
As we predicted. Let's pat ourselves on the back here.
Wait, I lost you there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I said just as we predicted. Let's pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah. The Eagles were playing this 3 safety look with the hybrid linebacker more today than they have. It seems at other points this summer. I don't know if it was a matchup based on the Browns tight end situation or whatnot.
So let me ask you, was it like Terrell Edmunds playing linebacker, or were there 3 deep?
Yeah. No, it was Edmunds in the block. Edmunds in the box.
And were there 2 other linebackers on the field, or was he basically one of 2 linebackers?
There were 2 other linebackers on the field.
Interesting.
At certain time. So someone said who were the hybrid linebackers? It was Edmunds, and then Kayvon Wallace was in there. I got to say the view was a little tough for the defense.
That middle field, yeah.
And you don't have you can't really see depth as well, but you can see who's playing deep. And so when 30 was paired, when 21 Sidney Brown was paired with 32 Reed Blankenship, that's noteworthy because Blankenship is the top corner. I'm sorry, the top safety. The at corner they played James Bradbury in the slot at times. I haven't seen that before.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was a a new little wrinkle I saw.
That's new, yeah.
There were the linebacker.
And so when they did that, who
situation-
was the outside corner?
Job?
It was Job. Okay.
Yeah. There were times in
So
there
no
when
Avante.
not in that rep, I believe. Yeah.
Interesting.
There were, and I hope that it wasn't because someone was in motion. Maybe it was because someone was in motion, but he did. Sometimes you pass
no,
it
because
off.
then Job wouldn't be on the field, right? It would be.
Yeah, yeah. Then linebacker, there were a handful of different combinations. You asked Sean Desai before practice about the pecking order there, and he kind of implied that there.
I sort of bungled that question. I don't think he understood what I.
No, he understood. He understood. I don't think he wanted to answer it, and
No, I don't because I don't think I asked it accurately. I want to know how are you going to make your decision? What are the determining factors for who plays? But I think he was thinking about splitting up the reps.
I just don't think he wanted to tell you the
Well,
depth
that's for
chart.
sure.
Yeah. So there was Nicholas Moore. I'm sorry. The first rep in there was Dean and Christian Ellis, and then as we've seen throughout the summer, Nicholas Morrow alternated with Dean. I'm sorry, with Ellis. There wasn't as much Zach Cunningham in there and Miles Jack with the first team, but again, they were mixing things up. There was actually one point where I thought Zach Cunningham had a good day. He deflected a pass that Reed Blankenship intercepted, and then he also, I thought he fit a run well at one point as well, but that's kind of inside football there, because you don't know if he's supposed to be in that gap or if it was just fortunate that it was the cutback lane and the running back cut right back into him. But he was in the gap and the running back cut right back into him, and Cunningham was there. So boom.
He's got those long arms, he can be in a gap with those long arms. That's good.
Yeah. So there were a handful of sacks or would-be sacks. Nolan Smith had one unimpeded, and Josh Sweat was back there. I had one written down for Sweat. I saw people say there were multiple. I had one. Jalen Carter would have been credited for one as well, but I also thought they gave up too many completions early on in practice, and there was a period there where Amari Cooper dropped 2 passes, it seemed like. And those could have been completions. The ball wasn't on the ground enough. Now there was the short passing game. I'm gonna do the old MoMA thing here, where I see a team for one day and give you fantasy football advice. I think this one probably can speak with more conviction than MoMA, because I've been reading the Browns notes and whatnot stories. David Njoku, man. Pay attention to David Njoku this year. He had a good year last year. He catches everything in the middle of the field, and he is a tough cover. Why'd you make that face?
How many times are people going to tell me to believe in David Njoku?
Well, take it. I mean, this is the guy who told you James Bradbury last year, and this is the guy who told you Javon Hargrave the year before. And
guys
this
you
is the
saw
guy,
every day, and you're putting David Njoku on that level. You're willing to stake your reputation on David Njoku?
And this is the guy who told you Josh Sweat, and this is the guy who told you DeAndre Swift this summer.
This is the guy who told you Isaiah Simmons.
Well, in the draft, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying no. Based on the,
I'm saying one practice.
Okay, all right.
And you're putting him on. You're staking your reputation, guys you see every day.
Fine. Deal. I'm just telling you, I liked watching Njoku out there. I thought he runs good routes. He catches things. He's a target in the middle of the field. So yeah, it's worth what I'm charging for it right now. My fantasy advice is David Njoku.
For the 8th straight year, watch out for fantasy sleeper David Njoku.
Elsewhere, I'm trying to think here. You got me to leave my train of thought. I mentioned Jalen Carter. He was active today. I thought Jalen Carter had a good practice. Carter, as I wrote in our practice observations, his summer's been defined more, I think, by the high water marks than the consistency of it. But for what it's worth, I thought today was a good session from him.
For Carter?
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you a little bit worried about Jalen Carter, having seen him show up today at practice wearing like the sweatpants instead of the football pants?
No, that it actually wasn't something that registered with me.
Okay. Well, I figured since the only other guy on the team who does that is Derek Barnett, if you're worried that he's taking the wrong piece of advice from the defensive line room, following the
No,
wrong
Derek,
guy.
I like Derek Barnett. I mean, I would tell Jalen Carter that it's prohibitive or inhibitive rather to have 15-yard personal foul penalties that extend drives that give teams free yards. Penalties are not good, but yeah, that I think Derek Barnett had the fumble recovery in one of the biggest plays in franchise history. He had a number of fumble recoveries that year. He's gotten to the quarterback. Barnett's been a good player in this league. I have nothing against Barnett. I think the personal fouls got out of hand. And I think, again, we don't need to relitigate this, but I
just asked
think,
a question. We don't have to go down the whole rabbit hole.
no, it's the famous words about that Jim Schwartz said about Nigel Bradham. Do you want to quote it?
Jolly ho, I'm Nigel Bradham.
No, it was something along the lines of, and again, I'm not conflating these situations. There's a significant difference between a personal foul penalty and getting arrested or charged the way Nigel Bradham did, right? But the point is that if you do dumb things, you're gonna be labeled, So, anyways, that is the point that I was making on.
So,
Barnett.
but Carter looked good
Barnett's a good
today
player.
to you.
Yes, I did think Carter looked good, and I'm not alone in that opinion. By the way, it's not even groupthink. It's just
I think it's a little groupthink.
No, I mean perhaps it's confirmation bias, but it's not as if when I say groupthink, is there are some reporters who they're watching practice with like 3 other people, and then they all have the same thing in their notes, right? Like I was watching practice with Zach Jackson, Action Jackson, from The Athletic, our Browns writer, and also Robert Mays, who Bo's going to have on the, or who Bo's going to be on the Athletic Football Show with. But my point is I wasn't watching with other Eagles writers, and we were all jotting down at the same time. Oh, Jalen Carter looks good there. But then when I was doing my notes and I saw on social media the Jalen Carter thing, I said, yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, okay.
That's good. He needs to be stacking these days.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're a little bit ahead of ourselves on the one rep from the other night. Like, he took 2 snaps. His first snap was getting to rush the passer on a 3rd and long, like against the guy he knows. It was a good move, but like it was 1 snap. It was 1 rush. Like, we have this entire recent history of rookie defensive tackles. Quinnen Williams is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Wasn't that impactful as a rookie. Mm-hmm. Dexter Lawrence, same thing. All these guys. Unless you think Jalen Carter is Aaron Donald, I don't think you can expect a rookie defensive tackle to even come close to what Javon Hargrave was last year. That's all.
Okay, that's fair.
And I think he might be great, but I think it's going to take some work.
Is that the threshold on Javon Hargrave last year?
That's who he's replacing. That's not the threshold for is he having a good season.
Is he replacing
the threshold him? For is the defensive line going to be as good? You know what I mean?
So let me ask you that. Is he replacing Javon Hargrave, or is it 60% Jalen Carter and 30% or 25% Jordan Davis and then
Milton Williams?
Milton Williams
all of those
in there.
Things.
Yeah,
absolutely. That is part of it. And I think Milton Williams is going to be good this year. I think he's going to be better than he was last year. I think Jordan Davis is going to be better than he was last year. I don't think the defense as a whole, I think the defense as a whole is going to be a little bit worse at every position.
Okay.
Except for maybe the edge. And even then, Brandon Graham's a year older.
Yeah. Look, I think a lot of it's, situational too. I don't think they're going to be playing with these huge leads this year. And when you play with these huge leads, and they're going to be playing against better teams this year. If you I was doing something the other day looking at all their games from last year again, and the amount of just I don't want to say cakewalk games or gimme, but
sure,
there were games when they just loaded up on sacks in like the second half when they were playing with double-digit leads. So yeah, and that's why, not to bring up Gannon, but when I say, when there's this idea that like Desai can't be worse than Gannon, Desai might be a better coordinator, and the defense could be worse because they were number 5 last year in DVOA and they had 70 sacks. Like that's a really hard curve to be graded on. If for him to be better, he needs to have over 70 sacks or like 1 to 4 in DVOA. Good luck, you know.
If they're a top 10 defense, I would be really impressed from a coaching.
See, yeah, like I see Neptune 51 say Desai could and should be way better than Gannon. How are you going to measure that?
Zach,
right?
You said you're not talking about him.
Hold on.
You're putting the moratorium on him.
I can't hear. So this is actually my fault because maybe it's when I say Desai's name, somebody's name that I say starts the SIRI. I don't want to say it. And then once that comes up, I can't hear what you say. So what did you just say? He's muted. Okay.
No, I said this is you said your moratorium. You're not talking Gannon.
Yeah. You're right. I'm not talking Gannon. You're right. You're right. I was talking this year's defense compared to last year's defense, but you're correct.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. This is And somebody asks, how do I feel about the offense? I think the offense should be really good. I think the offense should be a top 3 offense if everybody stays healthy. I think we could be worried about some injury regression, but I think the offense should be really good. And that's what matters more. And that's why the team should still be very good.
Yeah. And Jalen Hurts is, look, when Jalen Hurts is your quarterback, your expectation is for them to be really good. Like that's the baseline is really good. So.
Yeah. Okay. How did Michael Dunn look?
Did not get a strong enough look because of where the offense was on the other side. So I really didn't get a chance to see much of Michael Dunn, but I did ask around in Cleveland or among the Cleveland reporters, and he's looked good this summer. And I didn't think he did anything.
He's got that dash strength in the trenches now.
Yeah, and I didn't watch one-on-ones. You did. How did he look in one-on-ones?
No, I was watching. There were 2 separate fields. The Browns offensive line against the Eagles defensive line was further away. I was only watching the Eagles offensive line.
Yeah, that second field makes it tough when the offense is on the other, when the team that has the ball is on the other side, because you really can't see much from there. You can only see kind of the result of the play. You're blocked by all the D-backs.
It was interesting, Zach, like watching just before and after practice as the 2 teams intermingled. I want to sort of throw you a softball here. I want to show off the power of the Zach Berman Encyclopedia. Mm-hmm. How many Browns Eagles connections can you name?
Oh goodness, so many. I mean, start with Jim Schwartz walking out, like the alpha. Rodney
McLeod. Howie comes over, gives him a big old hug.
Yeah, I saw him talking to Fletch. Rodney McLeod out there. D-backs are catching up with him. The Berry brothers.
And you know what? Shame on them for not pulling a sister this week if they don't do it. I mean, they've got to at least attempt it.
Sister meaning.
Yeah, like dress up as each other and see if they can see how long they can get away with it. One of them puts on the Eagles gear, one of them puts on the Browns gear. Let's see what happens. Who notices? Who really knows us?
Just if you're interviewing both of them at the same time, make sure you take video. That's my that's my advice.
All right, we're on
yeah. So I saw Carson Walsh in there.
Carson Walsh. I didn't know he was there. That one was a surprise to me.
Yeah, Carson Walsh is on that Browns staff. As we keep going on down the list here, going up my head. I mean, I don't know if Bob Quinn counts. Bob Quinn, this is like a Kevin Bacon game. Former Lions GM. I saw him go up to Matt Patricia. The 2 were linked together in Detroit. Okay. Gave each other the fist pound.
All right, I'll give you that.
Okay.
That's 5.
So I get credit there. The actual roster itself, I mean, Deshaun Watson. That's a little too tangent. I saw
Yeah,
Deshaun
no,
Watson.
yeah.
Saw Deshaun Watson shake hands with some people there who he might have come across at some point.
What does that mean? Why does that have to be?
I'm being cryptic.
What, yeah, but you're making it sound salacious. What is it?
No. Sorry, no. Wasn't. No, nothing salacious. Just
You're
Eagles
saying
personnel people.
you're
he
saying
might have known.
the idea that the Eagles were trying to trade for Deshaun Watson, that he was maybe talking to Howie Roseman. Is that what you're implying?
Oh no, not at all.
Or Dom? Is that
yeah.
Okay,
I was referring to Dom.
okay?
Yes. I don't know who am I missing here in terms of the roster itself. I don't know who am I missing. You tell me.
Let's see. You got Catherine Raish, the Browns
Oh, of
assistant
course.
GM.
Yeah. I saw Cat.
That was a good one. One that took me a little bit by surprise was Roderick Johnson hamming it up with Joe Thomas. Roderick Johnson, a fifth-round pick of the Browns back in 2017. That was a good one. Saw Amari Cooper chatting it up with his boy Jeff Stoutland, going back to their Alabama days. That gets us to 8.
So that counts. Okay, so the college connection counts?
Well, if they were hanging out.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's as much as the Quinn Patricia one.
That's true.
That gets us to 8. Greedy Williams.
Oh, so we're including Eagles that were former Browns as well. Okay.
Why wouldn't we? What do you mean?
I thought you meant players on the Browns who
Just the connections between the two of them.
Okay.
You've got, of course, Joe Banner, Dion Lewis, and Mike Bell.
He wasn't there today.
Marquise Goodwin, good one in the chat. Yeah, there we go. All right, that gets us to 10.
If you're talking about former Eagles Browns, Jerome Harrison.
Of course.
You had him. But no, I'm saying, so if you want to get into
we do an immaculate grid thing, just the two of us, where somebody names another team and we just have to go back and forth naming the Eagles?
I mean, the big one here is Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go here.
Kevin Stefanski was a former Eagles intern. And there was a point in my life, actually, where I was a PhiladelphiaEagles.com intern after my freshman year of college. And Kevin Stefanski was an intern the same year. He was at Penn at the time, a few classes above me. But Stefanski, I asked him about his memories. He really was not.
I heard he shut you down a little bit. I heard he gave you, as it was described to me, gave you nothing.
Nothing might be generous. Yeah, I mean that's the biggest. I guess I'm spoiled by Sirianni. If I ask that question,
indulge like a little
if I asked that question to Sirianni, we would have had a 7-minute answer.
Yeah, it would have taken. People would have been mad at you because it would have been an 8-minute answer. Yeah.
Last year he was in Cleveland. He got asked about Mount Union, and Mount Union's like an hour from there. And my goodness, they had to hold the buses for him to finish that
organization. He's here and he wouldn't give you anything.
Not really. And then I said you missed Lehigh days or something like that. I wanted to get into, here he was just this intern staying in the dorms and eating the mess hall food. And no, he said they're so lucky that they have training camp in Berea because they have great fans with the Browns. But he does remember going to Westchester. He does remember going to Westchester growing up. And then one of the
game.
Yeah. But I like Kevin Stefanski. And there was a big St. Joe's Prep.
You only like him because he's from here.
And there was a big St. Joe's Prep presence.
If he was from any of the other 49 states, you would not like him.
That's not true. I like most people.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
I'm looking at the
and you especially like people in positions of power.
Scott Peters was drafted by the Eagles, actually, from Arizona State. I remember that. Bill Callahan used to be on the Eagles staff. Of course, we know Jim Schwartz.
What are you looking up right now? You can't look it up. That's cheating.
Oh, I thought we were finished the main part of the presentation. Okay.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
okay.
You just look up Scott Peters.
And then the front office. Let's
I think
see
Broderick
here.
Bunkley played for the Browns at one point. After the Eagles.
Okay. I mean, I know Chris Gokon played for the Browns. Sheldon Brown played
That's
for the
right.
Browns.
Sheldon Brown for
So,
sure.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else from that side of the ball?
Let's see here. Not necessarily. No, I think that. No, I would say that about did it. Nick Chubb looks good out there, but you can't really tell with the runs. But
Okay.
what's so funny? What's so
The second best player on their team looks good out there.
fair enough. Fair enough. But no, overall, I do think that it wasn't as if the Eagles defense won today. And
Okay.
you said the Eagles offense was
But it was
overmatched.
close.
and that
Was it close to a draw, or would you say that? Would you give the nod to the Browns offense?
I would actually give the Browns a slight edge.
Okay.
I think the Eagles had more sacks, but they didn't get them off the field as much, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Someone could have a different interpretation watching.
And was Nakobe Dean a full participant?
Yeah, he seemed that way. Yes.
Okay. All right. What do you
Sean
want to see
Desai,
tomorrow?
Sean Desai, by the way, said they have about 98% of their defense in right now.
Did you believe that?
I do. I don't know when they're going to show. I guess they do it in walkthroughs, because
It was actually funny today because we were the Sean Desai press conference was earlier than usual. It's like a full hour before practice, and so we got to walk in and see an actual walkthrough that they were doing, which we don't usually get to see. It's kind of funny. Like, what was funny about it is like they weren't in jerseys, and it was like just like AJ Brown dressed in his clothes and Dallas Goedert dressed in his clothes. He's got his hat backwards, and they're just like walking through the motion.
I actually don't think we just lost you again there. I don't think I think that's what their day of practice walkthroughs are like. My understanding is that their in between walkthroughs are a little more spirited than that. Like
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Like just them
Yeah.
going through the motions
Yeah.
was kind of funny.
Jordan Mailata was barefoot. Landon Dickerson was in flip flops. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
They had their backpacks out there. You know, they were all gathering their backpacks to go inside. Yep.
Okay. All right. What do you want to see tomorrow?
Well, the Eagles need to show better offensive production, clearly, right? I mean, I assume I'm taking the offense tomorrow, so big burden on my shoulders to chronicle that as well as you did today.
You got to get them to turn it around.
I don't know about that. No, the offensive line, I'll be watching that closely. Yeah, that's probably the big thing. We should mention that Sean Bradley is on IR now, out for the season. The Eagles added depth at nose tackle.
Yeah, weird that was the spot that they needed to add. It's like one of the two deepest positions on the team.
Yeah, I
They
mean
must
they're
like the
really
guy.
they're really light at linebacker, and that's why I think you're going to see more of these heavy packages, heavy safety packages.
Okay. How you
What do you
holding
wanna
up
see tomorrow?
after the late night drive home on Saturday night?
I got to tell you that drive home was I mean, I don't want Emily would be scared if I said it was a little shaky, but I was
Oh,
I was
no.
tired. I
You
didn't
think
get
about
rumble
pulling over?
sticks. I didn't get rumble sticks action, right? Like it's not like but
What's
know what I'm
rumple
saying?
sticks? What?
on the side of the road, the rumble if you drift off and you go on the rumble stick.
Oh.
I didn't quite have the rumble sticks, but there were times when I had to, like slap
Yeah.
my face. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful, Zach.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Do you think about pulling over and just take a half an hour nap, close your eyes?
No, because once I do that, I'm out for the night. So I fought through. I got home. Rumble strips, not rumble sticks. I'm sorry. I
okay.
apologize there. It's like salt of the earth and dirt of the earth, right?
Rumpelstiltskin, yeah.
But that ride, no, I listened to when our pod went up, I listened to that. I did not do a
How'd we
good enough
do?
job. You did great. My voice modulation was not good because the mic was between us, and I think I was a little too far away from the mic.
We did. We were talking about that. You gotta lean in. Don't be scared of close physical contact with me.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Although
felt
on that night, maybe you should have been.
Oh, because you were.
Well,
you
I'm
were
not saying
stands on
I'm not neither. We'll neither confirm nor deny.
Gotcha. Okay. Benjamin Culp says, "Wait, I have a question. I'm curious what that question was."
Well,
Uh,
don't read that until he's asked the question.
but I was listening to Philly Special for a part of it, and then I was listening to Our Pod for a part of it.
Okay.
And
You feel recovered? This doesn't help, you know.
this isn't
Uh,
that bad.
It's a good shirt you got on. I like that shirt.
Thank you. It's nice of you to say. Yeah. What do you like about it?
It's a good color. Big
Oh,
buttons too. It looks like. Is that a polo or a button down? It's a polo. Those are the top two buttons.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good shirt.
It's a 3-button bow.
3-button bad boy. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Anything else you want to get to? Oh, there's
yeah.
something I want to ask you.
There's one more thing we got to talk about.
Last night.
Yes.
I mean, where else would Bo rather be than with Shield? So yeah, let's share the two best friends anyone could have.
This is so ridiculous. You were invited. you could have bought tickets yourself. You were invited to join the show. The entire time. You decided you had better things to do. So yeah,
I was working last night.
Shield went. Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't have to be. Anyway, we got to go to the Mount Joy show with Sheila and Jessica, Rachel and I. Had a wonderful time. We got to hang out a little bit with Seamus Clancy too. Shout out to Seamus. What a treat! What a delight! I haven't been to like a. I'm worried this will make Matt and Mount Joy feel less cool, but I haven't been to a concert in like a decade, something like that.
When was the last concert you attended?
I don't know. The concerts that I would go to were because my buddy, a shout out to Matt Wong, my old roommate, was a musician, so I would go to see his concerts. I'd see he was playing with Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah, and see my buddy Reed at Up the Chain. But it's not. It's I like to be the supportive friend. But it has been it's been a treat for me. Like, I'm not gonna just start listening to new music. I don't have that in me at this point in my life. So for me to have gotten to know and become a fan of Mount Joy over the past year plus was awesome. And just to see them live, what a show. They were killing it. Jason Kelsey and Connor Barwin came on stage at the end. I had a wonderful time. It was great.
Good. I mean, I'm genuinely happy for Matt and for Mount Joy. I mean, I'm grateful that he listens, and he's got a lot more fans than you and I do. So I mean, credit to him.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
And I felt like I said this to him. It's kind of weird, but I felt like a sense of pride watching him up there. I mean, he's so cool up there. And they're putting on such a good show. He's the man. Everybody's infatuated. It's awesome.
I'm curious. I mean, look, I as I say this, I feel like I'm asking a post-game question here, but I'm curious if the second night it has any less juice, or because we did talk about how physically exhausting these shows are, and there's probably such an adrenaline rush for that Saturday night show. Now you got to come back for the Sunday night.
Well, even the Saturday night show, they're coming off 2 nights at Central Park right beforehand.
That's true. Exactly.
Now, and he said during the show, they were a little bit worried that, the Sunday night show, people got to go to work on Monday. It might not have the same atmosphere, but they were happy with what the crowd was giving them. So that was good. And then we got to, we did get to go say hi. After
you're sharing this. Okay. All right.
Well,
there you go.
We got to say hi to Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're sharing. You got backstage pass.
Got to meet him in person.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You're sharing.
What a delight. But also what a come down that must be. You step off the stage, you've just been thrilling this crowd for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And now it's okay, I got to hobnob with Bo Wolf.
I mean, come to think of it, that's kind of like what the media is at
It's
in the Super
literally,
Bowl.
it's literally
right?
like that.
You know,
Yes.
they just played the Super Bowl, and now
Like,
they're sitting there by their locker. You
right.
got us
And everybody's looking at me.
exactly. Yeah. But look
Yeah.
at that backstage passes. How do you get the? I'm so curious about this. How do you
Little
get
orange
backstage?
wristband.
Okay.
I mean, we were on. Matt put us on the list. What
When
he's
do
a
you know to
sicko.
go
What
back
do you wanna
there?
say?
There's not like an announcement. Those with backstage passes. So do you meander over during the first I'm sorry, during the last song? What's
No. Just we waited till the show was over.
Gotcha.
And now I will have to say, I don't want to be the one to describe this, but you know how my crowd walking talents. We had to, the
Oh,
four of
I-
us, make our way across this sea of people walking in one direction, and we had to cross through them and make some headway. Let's just say I showed off a little bit. It was pretty good.
I mean, you don't have to tell me this. I take walks outside during the summer to prepare for any type of airport or press box, locker room. Bo's crowd walking is incredible.
There was the guy who was guarding the backstage area, like anybody in a bit of a position of power. He's making these decisions, but then we get the call like, okay, you guys can come in. Again, I am not a cool person, so it was cool to feel cool.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful. I had a great time.
Good. I'm happy for you.
Excited for them to come back to Philadelphia. And now they got it now. And to your point, it's like they do these string of 4 straight shows, and they just got to get on a bus, drive to St. Louis, and stop in Ohio for a day.
But they have what's the term he used for their bus? The condo bus.
The condo bus, yes, yeah. Remember, 2x2s instead of 3x3s.
Exactly. So,
but still,
well,
sleep on a bus. Yeah,
I'm happy for you and Sheil, and I'm glad you and Sheil got to spend some quality time together. So,
you gotta stop making these comments. This is your decision to not go.
I didn't know it was going to be a couples night.
What did you expect?
I didn't know. Someone says Zach's definitely jealous. Yeah, I mean, I showed Emily the picture, and she said we weren't invited, or something like that. And I said I didn't know it was going to be like a double date.
Well, first of all, it wasn't necessarily right, but we listened to the music. They listened to the music. We were excited. You could have come too.
That's okay. No, I am happy for you. I am happy for you.
Yeah, but don't play the victim here.
There's no victim. I am happy that you and Bo that you and Sheil got some quality time together.
Yeah, next time the person Threat Level Midnight makes the correct point in the chat. Next time I'm going over your head. I'm going straight to Emily.
She is the social director in our house. So that is true.
Okay. And hopefully on Wednesday, we're going to get to meet Madison.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I'm most excited to see Marissa, but yeah, Madison as well.
Shots fired at Madison?
I'm more excited to see Marissa.
I've met Marissa before.
I'm more excited. I'm more excited to see Marissa, my friend, than Madison, the baby. Once I see I mean, what am I going to do once
this
I
is
see
a wild take.
That's not a wild take. If your brother has a baby,
you got the rest of your life with this baby? I think this is a wild take.
I don't think so. What when people say you have to see the baby, okay, you see the baby, and then what? Like
you're coming out anti-baby as a father of 2. You're coming out anti-baby.
You're
going babies or Trey Sermon. They're overrated.
Love babies. I'm more excited to see Marissa, see how she's doing, see how she's holding up. She probably, she's look. I saw this with Emily when you're home with the baby, when the baby's first born. That's arduous, right? So this is some social interaction. So yeah, I think that's awesome. I'm excited to see her.
All right. I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see what Marissa thinks about this. You
Okay.
coming out anti Madison.
Real quick, two Eagles related things that were announced today. Jason Kelsey has a documentary coming out, I believe September 12th. And it is they had cameras following him around last year. So I am excited to see the behind the scenes of that. And then Jalen Hurts officially a member of the Jordan brand. So big news there as well.
You were all over that one.
Yeah, I had a story on February 1st about his affinity with Michael Jordan, or for Michael Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw those photos they posted. Then I went to go check. Has Zach tweeted his story yet? And it's like 3 hours ago. All over it.
All over it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. We'll be back tomorrow night, same-ish time, I suppose. And then we'll be back on Thursday night. So a lot of late nights this week. I don't know if that's necessary, but here we are. For Zach and Matt and Madison, but not on behalf of Zach. I'm Bo.
I'm excited to see Madison too. Excited to
We
see.
thank you for listening. And as always, unless you're a baby, we love you.